Okay, for example 2, you'll notice again, it's already starting us off in standard form, but again, if I reinforce that this is what standard form looks like, ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. Quadratic term followed by linear term followed by constant equals 0. The quadratic formula tells us that the value of x should equal negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. That's the quadratic formula. And what I want you to see here is that the a, b, and c in the formula are the coefficients when you put it in standard form. You don't know what a, b, and c are until your problem looks like this. Anytime you're dealing with a quadratic trinomial, all three terms, the quadratic and the linear and the constant, are all part of the problem. This will be your most efficient way to get the answer. It's pretty efficient, works every time. And I'm going to just do a little bit of coloring here. Let's take a look at this negative b. We'll do that in green. We'll do b squared minus 4ac. There we go. We'll make that black. Actually, it looks like green. Let's go black. I want the square root sign black. And let's go with 2a. We'll keep 2a in blue. So, if we take a look at our problem, and again, this is what I'd like to see on your paper when you're doing your homework. So, getting your credit for showing your work. Step 1, copy it out of your book on your paper in standard form, even if it's already in standard form. So I'll go ahead and write down 2x squared plus 5x minus 3 equals 0. If it's not in standard form, just slide everything over to the left so it equals 0, and it should be in standard form. Just put them in quadratic, linear, constant order. Then I want to know that you know what a, b, and c are. A is equal to positive 2, b is equal to positive 5, and c is equal to negative 3. Signs matter, so make sure that you are being cautious with the signs here. 2 is positive, 5 is positive, 3 is negative. Now, looking at those three things we have to figure out, minus b, 2a, and b squared minus 4ac, I think we can all be in agreement that b squared minus 4ac looks the most daunting. So if we take a look at that first, b squared minus 4ac, all that is a square, right? So we're going to take b, which is 5. 5 squared is 25. Okay, I'm simply just squaring that number in my head. Typically, b is going to be some single-digit number. If they gave you a more challenging problem, maybe use a calculator to evaluate. Suppose b was 7.94, then you grab your calculator, write 7.94 squared, and you write down 63.0436 down. So whatever that is, just go ahead and write it down, whatever it is. And then it's minus 4 times a times c. And again, signs matter. A is positive 2, c is negative 3, so I entered a positive 2 for a and a negative 3 for c. The formula has a minus sign in it. It always has a minus sign in it, but we're multiplying all this stuff together to create whatever sign it's supposed to be. So let me use a highlighter for that instead so it doesn't look like I get a fraction out of this. So if I'm focusing on this product here, that's either going to stay negative or it's going to become positive, but it's plus or minus. We're looking at addition or subtraction happening here. So 4 times 2 is 8 times 3 is 24. 2 minuses makes a plus. B squared is still 25. Whether b is positive or negative, b squared is positive, so be careful of that. So if this said b is negative 5, that'd still be positive 25 there. But again, this minus sign is allowed to become a plus sign if the product creates that situation. And the final thing then, 25 and 24 make 49. So looking at this structure here, I know that x in this problem here should equal this fraction bar with a plus or minus square root symbol on it. Okay. Minus b I can do in my head. I take whatever b is, minus b means change the sign of it. So b is positive 5, minus b is negative 5. If b was negative 5, minus b would be positive 5. So again, minus b just means change the sign of b. 2a means we take whatever a is and we multiply it by 2. So a is 2, 2 times 2 is 4. If a was 3, 2 times 3 is 6. If a was 8, 2 times 8 is 16. So it's not squared, it's times 2. So whatever a is, you take times 2. And then b squared minus 4ac is 49. So as you can see, actually evaluated that, I've put down some work to represent the evaluation of that. These two things I can do mentally. Now, if the square root can't evaluate, you're done. Those are your answers. If the square root can't evaluate, though, I would like you to get me a more exact answer. So the square root of 49 equals 7. And then plus or minus means to add and subtract. So we're going to get two answers out of this. So I'm going to get fraction bar with a 4 on the bottom, a fraction bar with a 4 on the bottom. To get the tops, I need to first add. So I'm going to do a negative 5 plus 7. Negative 5 plus 7 is positive 2. Then I need to subtract. So negative 5 minus 7 is negative 12. Again, it's the sum over 4, it's the difference over 4, so 2 over 4, negative 12 over 4. Then the last thing to do is reduce those fractions. 2 fourths is 1/2. Negative 12 fourths is negative 3. Those are the solutions to the quadratic equation. Anytime you want to make sure you're right on a quadratic equation formula, or just substitute an answer in to see if you get a true statement. So for example, if x is negative 3, this will be 2 times negative 3 squared, which is positive 9, plus 5 times negative 3 minus 3 is supposed to equal 0. That's 18 minus 15 minus 3 equals 0, which is absolutely true. If x equals positive 1/2, this is going to be 2 times 1/2 squared, which is 1/4, plus 5 times 1/2. Minus 3 is supposed to equal 0. 2 times 1/4 is 1/2. And 3 is 6/2. If we do it 1/2 and 5/2 is 6/2. 6/2 minus 6/2 equals 0. So that's also true. So both answers we got show that the true statement occurs out of it. Any other number we picked for x would have been incorrect. For example, 1. 2 plus 5 is 7 minus 3 is 4. It doesn't make 0. So there's only two answers out there that make it equal 0. Those are the two answers. Quadratic formula is the way to do it. So in your homework for this lesson, if it's a quadratic binomial, no linear term, I want you to solve for x squared, take the square root of both sides, plus or minus. If it's a quadratic trinomial, I want it to be put in standard form first, then apply the quadratic formula, actually show where you evaluated b squared minus 4ac correctly, put it in, and again, if the square root can be evaluated to a regular number like 7, or the square root of 36 is 6, square root of 25 is 5, it's one of those friendly, perfect squares, I want you to take the square root and then work it out to either fractions or integers if they reduce. Do not give me decimal answers on these.